You are with Talks on the Way of Wisdom, the forum that discusses star battles in human consciousness. In this video, we interpret Dhammapada verses 15 to 18, focusing on the theme, happiness and joy in the two worlds. These verses invite us to explore how our choices shape not only our current lives, but also our existence beyond this world. What is the difference between the temporary satisfaction of harmful actions and the lasting joy of virtuous deeds? How do our actions impact both our present and our future, even in the heavenly realms? Join us, watch the entire video. Happiness and joy in the two worlds. In Buddhist tradition, the verses of the Dhammapada are a treasure trove of wisdom that guides individuals towards an understanding of the essence of life and moral choices that shape their destiny. The words spoken by Buddha and recorded in the Dhammapada are considered among the most significant texts of Buddhism. The focus of the verses we are exploring emphasizes the connection between our actions in this world and their long-term consequences in the afterlife, after death, and in subsequent lives. The themes of these verses are directed towards those who value the moral choice between good and evil and seek mindfulness. Buddhism teaches that every action, whether good or bad, leaves a mark on a person's life. This imprint is not only physical and visible to our eyes, it has a spiritual, emotional, and mental aspect that leaves its trace both in the present and the future. When a person chooses to do evil, they not only violate the moral laws of the universe, but also doom themselves to suffering. This suffering first manifests in the reality in which we live, but it does not end with the conclusion of earthly life. In Buddhist philosophy, it is believed that evil actions continue to haunt a person even after death, causing pain and grief in the afterlife. The same assertions, however, apply to good deeds and actions. The texts of the Dhammapada encourage the reader to reflect on the long-term consequences of their actions, emphasizing that good brings lasting satisfaction and joy, while evil causes sorrow and grief. The follower of Buddhist teachings is invited to take responsibility for their actions and to choose the path that leads to inner peace and happiness in both worlds, earthly and heavenly. We believe that such a philosophy is especially useful when one turns it inward, asking questions such as, how do the actions we choose today shape not only our present, but also our future, even our presence in the heavenly afterlife? What is the difference between the fleeting pleasure of evil and the lasting satisfaction of goodness? What will the consequences be in the afterlife, where we will no longer have the power to hide from our deeds? Consequences of evil deeds. Suffering in both worlds. When a person commits evil, they may not immediately realize the weight of their actions. At first, they may even bring pleasure or success. But sooner or later, the awareness of the evil done reaches the person's consciousness. Then the true suffering begins, not only from the physical or social consequences of these actions, but also from the realization that they have harmed both others close to them and themselves. This theme continues the topic of the inner battle between the unreal and the real, between illusion and truth. The theme reveals to us that submission to and acceptance of the unreal foretells suffering, while knowledge of the real leads to spiritual growth and inner peace. One cannot avoid the karmic consequences of their actions. And what better karma could we create and carry with us, not because of our bad deeds, but because of the good ones we do? Virtue and joy, happiness in both worlds. Verse 16 reveals that the person who does good is happy in both worlds. Verse 17 emphasizes the sorrow of the wrongdoer, the sorrow of the deluded person. In these verses, we understand that the wrongdoer is the deluded person who does evil due to the illusions created in their mind. Verse 18 gives us confidence that the virtuous person rejoices in both worlds. The virtuous person is guided by knowledge of the real on the path to truth. These words from the Dhammapada invite us to choose virtue, not only to achieve lasting joy and happiness in the present and the beyond. More than that, the virtuous person is directed on the path to Nirvana and unity with Buddha. The verses serve as a powerful moral compass, guiding us in our daily decisions. They encourage us to reflect on what we want to experience in life as a result of our actions, joy or suffering. This conscious choice is especially important in the context of today's world, where the moral consequences of our actions are often neglected. The verses remind us that choosing good is not only a moral obligation, but a way to achieve happiness in both worlds. Moral choice and conscious decision. One of the most important lessons in the Dhammapada is the connection between mindfulness and moral choice. They show us that every decision we make carries with it a chain of events that shape both our present and our future. This is the central message that the texts convey to the reader. In Buddhist philosophy, moral choice is a key element that reminds us of the deep connection between our actions and their consequences. Verses 15 to 18 present a clear dichotomy. The person who does evil suffers in this world and in the afterlife. It is important to understand that suffering results from accepting the idea of the unreal, while it occurs when we realize our mistakes and their profound consequences. Even more difficult are the encounters of the deluded person with illusions when this happens under the force of karmic law in the afterlife after death. Then, the karmic law, in executing our deeds, brings the suffering caused by violence, due to the inability to know and accept the real. On the contrary, the virtuous person is happy in this world and happy in the other world, experiencing deep joy from good deeds. The lessons of life and humility with which we learn them hold a central place in this battle. In the verses we are exploring, mindfulness of the consequences of our actions is the primary lesson. Evil leads to suffering, while virtue brings lasting fulfillment. Thus, the verses serve as a powerful moral compass, calling us to make conscious choices that lead to happiness and wisdom. In the end, our path depends on us. The choice is in our hands. Call to action. The individual is called to choose the path of virtue, which is not only a choice but an investment in their future. Therefore, it is important to ask ourselves, what steps can I take today to bring more goodness and wisdom into my inner and outer world? Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like our channel. We'd love to hear your opinion.